Okay, so going back to this problem, we have 4 and then we have 2 times negative 3/4. Are we all okay with these numbers? Yes. Okay. What I was saying is that you can write this as a fraction. So if we're just looking at the bottom part right now and you have that fraction, we can cross reduce, right? And we can cancel this 2 out and this 4 out and we have 2 left on the bottom. Are we all okay with that? Okay. Now, what I'm saying is at this point right here, in order to get rid of this negative 3/2, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. If this isn't making sense to you, let me just show you something. If you have 4 divided by negative 3/2, because that's what we have right now, this is the same thing as like 4/1 divided by negative 3/2. And what do you do when you're dividing fractions? You have to do your KFC. Some of you might remember that, where you keep the first one the same, you change that to multiplication, and then you flip that one to negative 2/3, and you end up getting negative 8/3. Okay? Same thing if I go back to this one. Instead of doing all this stuff, in order to get rid of this fraction on the bottom, you multiply by the reciprocal. You're multiplying by negative 2/3 to the top and the bottom. So that all that cancels out and everything is now on the top. You can change 4 to 4/1 just so you can see the double fractions. And again, you multiply across and you get negative 8/3. What are you saying? Are we all still confused? Or are we okay with negative 8/3? Okay, well this is what, let's go back here. So we have negative 8/3. If I'm graphing negative 8/3, that's a little bit difficult. So I would change it into a mixed number so I'd know more accurately where to graph that for my x value of the vertex. So if I change that into a mixed number, what is that going to become? Negative 2 and 2/3. Because 3 goes into 8 2 times with 2 left over. So negative 2 and 2/3. And that's what I'd write in my vertex spot. Negative 2 and 2/3. Okay? But when you're finding the y value of the vertex, you don't want a mixed number. Okay? So you want to take this value and plug that into your original equation to find the y value. Okay, now this is the part where I feel like it gets a little bit more confusing because of the fractions, but you guys can do this, okay? So I'm writing this out first. Y equals, I have negative 3/4 times negative 8/3 squared minus 4 times negative 8/3 minus 1. Okay? Now, what do you think we need to do first in this problem? You want to square this, right? So I'm going to rewrite what I have here. So I still have negative 3/4. And when I square this, negative 8 squared is good. And then 3 squared is 9. Okay? And then I'm just going to rewrite this for right now. So I have minus 4 and then negative 8/3 and minus 1. Okay. I'm kind of taking this one step at a time. So stop me if there's confusion. So at this point, is it okay if I write this 4/1 to make it a fraction? Yes? Okay. So that I have two fractions, and then there's just the one at the end. Okay. What do you think would be easiest to do? Reduce, right? 3 and 9, can those reduce? Yes. 3 cancels, and 3 goes into 9 how many times? 3. What about the 4 and the 64? Can those reduce? 4 cancel out, and 4 goes into 16 how many times? Oops, sorry. Thank you. 4 goes to 64 16 times. Don't forget about this negative. Shh. So when we multiply there, I have, so this is going, I have negative 16/3 for my first thing here. Because I had the negative 1 times 16, and then you have a 1 times 3. Okay, can anything cross-reduce here? No. So I have negative 4 times negative 8, which is a Positive 32 over 1 times 3 is 3. Then I have minus 1. Well, 1 as a fraction is 1 over what? But when we're dealing with fractions, and we need to add or subtract, they need to have common denominators. So at the same time, I'm going to change this to have a denominator of 3. Okay? So if I want a denominator of 3, that means I have to multiply 1 times 3 to the bottom, which means I'll have to multiply 3 to the top, right? So instead of having minus 1, I end up with minus 3 over 3 there at the end. Yes? We're good? Okay. At this point now, I have negative 16 and positive 32, which makes what? 16. And then 16 minus 3 is 13. So my y value is 13 over 3. You keep the same denominator. If I change this into a mixed fraction, it's going to be what? 4 1/3. So I'm putting that in the y value for the vertex. 4 1/3. Okay, so what is my maximum value? 4 1/3. What is my line of symmetry? X equals negative 2 2/3. Okay, so this is my answer, and then my graph is also going to be my answer. So now we need to graph this vertex. So when we're graphing negative 2 2/3, where am I going to go? You're going to go left 2 and a little more. I'm going to be like right in the middle. Because negative 2 2/3, it's more than negative 2, but it's not quite to negative 3, right? So you're just kind of being approximate, and you're just going in the middle of, for negative 2 2/3. Then I have to go up 4 1/3. So same thing, I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1/3. I'm just going to go up a little. So this is my vertex right here. We said that the graph is going down. And then your line of symmetry is in the middle right there through your vertex. Okay?
Wait, which one? That was a negative 2.
So you had negative 2 2/3 here, and then up 4 1/3 to make your vertex. And your line of symmetry is through the negative 2 2/3. Okay, so we're going to take a break kind of for a minute from the parabolas, and we are going to do this down here. This says state the x-intercepts of the parabolas, and there's a typo there. That's how you spell parabolas. Who remembers what the x-intercepts mean? It's where the parabolas are crossing your x-axis, right? Okay, so what am I going to do in order to find those values? Exactly. So it's like you can get rid of this for now and just put equals 0, and you'll write your two equations. So you'll have x minus 8 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0, and then you'll solve. So here I add 8 to both sides, and I get x equals 8. Yes, here I subtract 2 to both sides, and I get x equals negative 2. The only thing is that they want to know the specific intercepts, which means they want to know the ordered pairs. So how do I write this as an ordered pair? Very good. It's 8, 0. And what is this one as an ordered pair? Very good. Negative 2, 0. And that is your answer. So for this parabola, it would cross. The lines would go through at 8, 0, and negative 2, 0. Because it's not saying it equals a number. Okay, so it's already equal to 0. Okay? All right, same thing on example 4. It's already factored for you. So all we're doing is crossing out the y, setting it equal to 0, and setting each of those factors equal to 0. So we have 5 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. Does 5 equals 0 make any sense? No. Nope, so this one's out. Over here, I add 1. So I have x equals 1. And here I subtract 3 to get x equals negative 3. So what are my ordered pairs? 1, 0, and negative 3, 0. And those would be the points that it crosses at the x-axis. Example 5, there is a typo. It should be a minus 10x and a plus 3. So what are we going to have to do first on this one? Over, under, very good. So we're going to go over by 7, and we get x squared minus 10x plus 21. So now we're looking for what multiplies to be positive 21 and adds to be negative 10. Very good. X minus 7 and x minus 3. And once I do that, I need to remember to go under by 7. Good. So we go under by 7 and reduce. This reduces, so we get x minus 1. Here, that one doesn't reduce, so we bring our bottoms up and we get 7x minus 3. And we're going to set these equal to 0. Okay, so now we have x minus 1 equals 0 and 7x minus 3 equals 0. Here we add 1 to both sides. X equals 1. Here I add 3 to both sides. And I get 7x equals 3. And lastly, I need to divide by 7. So what are my ordered pairs? Good. 1, 0, and 3 sevenths, comma 0. Okay. Questions on x-intercepts? All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and do a part 3.